Alright, hey everybody, we're back for the third video here where we're going to talk about adding more pages, connecting these icons to those pages, and then some back and forward buttons. So you notice again, I've got my first page, sort of a landing page, the animal app, and then the second page, I just simply downloaded 8 of those icons and I lined them up using our handy arrange, distribute, align tools just to kind of line them up there in the middle. So you could have little text underneath explaining what all these are, but I'm not going to do that for right now. So we can assume that each page is going to be about a certain type of animal. So like that one will be domesticated. This might be fish, birds, primates, however you want to do it. So anyway, what we'll do is create a template subpage that we're going to use sort of as our basis. So first thing I'm going to do is duplicate this slide. Because again, I kind of like the beginning. I kept my my free pick information down there, and I'm going to go ahead and delete that on this version of it. So now I'm on slide 3. I'm just going to rename it and call it template. We'll just leave it like that. But I'm going to get rid of my icons. Don't want to get rid of the background quite yet. I'm going to get rid of the icons. I'm going to get rid of that. Since it's on the front and on the menu page, I think we're covered. So we'll be good there. So what I'm going to do now on my template page is create 3 buttons. I'm going to want a home button, so I know I can go back to this home menu or menu, whatever you want to call it, and then next and back. And I think those are really the only buttons you need in this. And again, you can have any shape, or you can go get buttons. You could get icon buttons for next and back if you wanted to. I just kind of like these sort of rounded corner icons. So I'm going to just create one really quickly, just a small home button, and I'll zoom in there on that so we can see it. So I'm going to change my font to about 18. I'm going to say home. I'm going to center it right in the middle. I'm going to make it bold. And I'm going to make it white because I'm going to change the color of this button. So I'm going to make it, we'll call it sort of like a light blue-ish. Okay. So there's my home button. So I can make the outside transparent. If you wanted to add, shadow or whatever. I'm not too concerned about design right now. But now I got my button. It's small. It's kind of out of the way, but big enough that a person could click on it. So I'm going to put it down here near the bottom. And that is kind of important. And I'll explain when we talk about looking at it later why that's important to put on the bottom. So there's my home button. Now what I'm going to do here is copy it and paste it. I'm going to move it over just a little bit to the right and line it up. I'm going to change the color. It's kind of an optical illusion. Those are the same color, but they look different because that's cool. Anyway, so I'm going to change the background color. Let's say maybe I'll make it, green is next. I don't like that green. Let's make it a darker green. There we go. I don't like that green either. How about that green? That's better. Let's call it next. Then I'm going to make another copy of that button. Paste it. I'm going to put it on the other side, again lining them up with the same spacing. Then I'm going to call this one back, and I'm going to change the color of this one we'll make it like it's a red color. Sure. Okay, so those are going to be our back, home, and next buttons forever. And what's nice about that is that I can, and what's also nice about Google Slides is that I can attach the command to go next or previous all the time instead of having to assign specific pages, which could get problematic if we end up moving pages around. So what I'm going to do is add a link button. Then I'm going to choose slides in this presentation, and I'm going to try, there isn't a next on there yet. So let's duplicate this. We just have 2 copies now. And now I'm going to do that again. Link, slides in the presentation. I want next slide. And I'm going to apply it. And the reason why that didn't show up was because there wasn't a next slide, but now there is. So I'm going to go to the back button, click on the link, slides in this presentation, and I'm going to choose previous slide and apply that. So now when I copy and paste these, it will always be next and previous, and I'm not going to have to worry about changing anything. And on this one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to link it, slides in the presentation, but I'm going to choose slide 2 because if I apply slide 2, it will always go back to my menu. Okay, so I've created a template. I've changed all of the links on my template. So those, if I click on them, I should see previous slide, I should see slide 2, and I should see next slide. Right, good to go. All right, what I'm going to do now is hide this. I'm going to skip slide. So now that template slide is not going to show up in anything that we do, but I'm going to go on to the next one. And on this slide, because I did not change these, so I didn't assign those. So I'm going to delete those real quick. I'm going to go back to my template. I'm going to copy these. All right, go back. This is my new slide now. It's got the linked up buttons. I'm going to go to my template. I'm going to change this to, what would this be? The pets, because it's the bulldog, right? That's the page that I'm looking at here first. So when they click on the bulldog, I'm going to want it to go to the pets page. So let's click on the bulldog. Let's click on the link button, slides in the presentation, and I'm going to choose now, it's actually slide 4, which is kind of off the screen, but it's slide 4, and I'm going to apply that. Okay. So now I'm looking at pets, but that's going to be the only page in my pets button. I'm not going to need a back or a next, so I'm going to just delete it. Back, next. Now I just have a home button. So I'm going to present this. Let's just take a look at it really quickly. Start from the beginning here so we can see what it looks like. So we got my animal app. Okay, I need a start button on there, so I'm going to have to create that. But when I click, you'll notice that the dog is now clickable. The rest of them aren't. If I click on my dog, it takes me to the pets page, and clicking on home takes me to back to the animal app page. So again, I don't like this thing that shows up, which is one of those issues that people sometimes have, which is why if we open it up outside of that, we right click in Drive and open it that way, that little control doesn't show up. Okay. So you can keep creating pages, you can link to pages, you can put pictures and notation or text or links to videos. You can put whatever you want on these sub pages. And that's really what we're looking for, is something where they can kind of click back and forth, that there's not necessarily a prescribed path, but instead it's up to them to choose the direction that they want to go. So that's how your students can share their apps. They can create these apps and then share them with links, because if you simply make it, I'm going to call this Pets app. If you make it viewable to anyone, instead of private only you can access, make it anyone with the link can view, and then you send that out. So I'm going to copy this, and what I'm going to do is switch over here in a second and show you what it looks like on a phone. Okay, so I'm pulling up the presentation now, and I'm going to view it. Since I made it public to anyone, I'm viewing it in the Slides app, which is another thing that might not be a bad idea to suggest as your kids are looking at it. But I'm going to hit the play button here up at the top, and I'm going to present it on this device. And now this looks like an actual app. The top bar is going to go away. If I click, it goes right to my menu, and I can click on the puppy dog, and it goes to pets. Click on the home button, it goes back. None of these other ones have been linked yet, which is why now if I click, it's just going to go to the next slide. But once I link all of these, then I'll have a good connection. So that's how the app looks. It looks really professional and cool. It's not a perfect application because they're obviously not programming it, but it's a great way to get kids into thinking creatively and critically about where things should go, how they should organize things, and they can get really creative with this stuff. So you're giving them the groundwork, and then they get to go crazy with it, and that's really part of integrating technology and making it cool and part of your classroom. So hopefully you've learned something in these videos, and you can take this back to finish strong here, maybe at the end of the school year, or start with a cool project. And I'll see you in the next few videos. Thanks.